The Gemara in Rosh Hashanah on Chavav Amud Beis has a machloikis whether the shofar on Rosh Hashanah should be straight or bent. Should the shofar on Yom Kippur of Yovel, they blew proper shofar on Yom Kippur of Yovel. What we blow on our Yom Kippur at the end, that's to signify really that Yom Kippur is over. In the time of Yovel, they would actually blow on Yom Kippur proper. And there was a machloikis whether the shofar should be bent or straight over there as well. And the machloikis regarding Ta'aniyot as well. And in the end, the two main opinions are that on Rosh Hashanah, you're supposed to use a bent shofar, not only because to remind us of the shofar shel ayil of the Akedis Yitzchak, which was bent, but even if you don't use the shofar of an ayil, if you had to use the shofar of another animal, and the choice was to use a straight one or a bent one, you should use a bent one. Whereas on Yom Kippur, one of the main opinions says that you should use a straight shofar. L'halacha, we paskin like Levi, who says that both on Rosh Hashanah and on Yom Kippur you use a bent one. But I'd like to just focus in on the opinion that differentiates and says that on Rosh Hashanah you use a bent shofar and on Yom Kippur you use a straight one. So the Gemara says, what is the crux of the machloket? On Rosh Hashanah, kama dekayif inish daite tfei, mailen. Says that on Rosh Hashanah, the more bent a person is, which reflects the bentness of the shofar, if we could also be bent on Rosh Hashanah, the more bent we are, the better it is. Whereas on Yom Kippur, kama de pashit inish daite tfei malya. But on Yom Kippur, and again, some say even on Rosh Hashanah, person should be straight. The shofar should be straight, which means we should be straight. But we paskin, however, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, you should use a bent shofar because we should be bent on Rosh Hashanah. But in Yom Kippur, we should use the shofar of a Ya'el, of a gazelle, because the straighter the shofar, the better on Yom Kippur, because on Yom Kippur we're supposed to be straight. And the question is, what is the rationale to differentiate between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? Because we tend to think that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are pretty much more or less the same. It's just that Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the process of the 10 days, right? We know that Rosh Hashanah is part of the Aseret Samei Tshuva. Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the Aseret Samei Tshuva. Yom Kippur is the end of the Aseret Samei Tshuva. But they're basically both a day of Tefillah. And Rashi says that since Rosh Hashanah is a day of Tefillah and Zikaron, it's a day that we're davening. It's a day of Zikaron, that we want Hashem to remember us, Litova, for the good. So the more bent you are, the better it is. Because bentness implies anava, it implies shivron lev, a broken heart. And we know that Chazal tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu never rejects a broken heart. And so therefore a person, Rosh Hashanah, should have a broken heart. And you'd think that on Yom Kippur as well. Yom Kippur is a culmination of the 10 days. And the whole 10 days should be days of crying and of anguish and of feeling brokenness, feeling that we failed to some degree in our mission over the last year and we want to be better. So we actually are supposed to feel a lot of contrition, not only in Rosh Hashanah, but during the entire 10 days. And you think that on Yom Kippur as well. So in Yom Kippur, it makes sense. If on Rosh Hashanah, you should use a bent shofar to imply our brokenness, so too on Yom Kippur. But we say, no, on Yom Kippur, you should be straight. And Rav Osher Weiss explains that the difference is that, again, that on Rosh Hashanah, there is a slightly different theme between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Even though one is the beginning of the process, one is the end of the process. And also the Rambam says, why don't we say Hallel on both days, not only Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? He says the same reason for both. It's a day of tshuva, it's a day of yira, it's a day of pachad, it's a day where we're not sure. Miyichya, miyamus, we're not sure what direction HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to seal us in. And so therefore we don't say Hallel. It's a day of tefillah. And Rashi says that when there's davening, you should be bent, you should be an anav. You can't come into HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? What the Reb Brevda says, that's a secret in tefillah. If you want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to answer your prayers, you don't go in with the idea, magili, I deserve it, right? I deserve it. Just lay it on me. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't owe us anything. So if a person comes into tefillah, not only on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but every day of the year, and says, Hashem, I don't deserve it, but give me anyway, please. Not chinam. Chen, give me grace, give me bechinam. I don't deserve anything, but please give me anyway, I need it. Then HaKadosh Baruch will be more inclined to give it to us, because we acknowledge our shortcomings, we acknowledge our smallness in front of Hashem. But on Yom Kippur, we use a straight shofar. We should be standing up straight on Yom Kippur. We don't stand bent over on Yom Kippur. And Rav Osher says the reason is perhaps he brings a Yerushalmi. The Gemara Yerushalmi says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashanah does not judge us by himself. He brings the whole Beit in Shalmaila. The whole Beit in also comes. And there's a pasuk that says, V'chol tzva hashamayim omdim alav mimino mismolo. What is the idea that you have? Hashem is like in the middle, and you've got the Beit in Shalmaila. Some are on the right, some are on the left. The idea is the right is the good side, the left is the bad side. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is judging with all of the judges on Rosh Hashanah. So he says, when you are being judged, not only by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but by angels. So if you bend over, the more you bend over, you can hide, right? When does a person bend over? Not only when he feels humble, but when he's hiding something. If a person's hiding something, so he'll bend over to try to hide the thing that he's trying to conceal. So on Rosh Hashanah, where it's not just HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem listens to the opinions of the angels as well. So we think maybe we could hide things from the angels. If we're bent over, we do not have to confront our averes. And in fact, in Rosh Hashanah, we don't confront our averes. Our Rosh Hashanah, we talk about Hashem. Hashem is the topic of Rosh Hashanah. But in Yom Kippur, the Yerushalmi says Hashem is Dan Yechidi. Hashem does not judge us in Yom Kippur with the entire Beit Din, with the entire heavenly court. Hashem judges each person individually. How do I know that? Because it says in the pasuk, Lifnei Hashem titaru. Where do we get our purification, our kapara, on this day? Ki biyom hazeh yechaper aleichem, right? Hashem will mikol chatoteichem lifnei Hashem. It's only a Kadosh Baruch Hu. As Rabbi Akiva says, Ashreichem Yisrael, happy are you, Klal Yisrael, that Hashem is a mikvah, Yom Kippur is a mikvah. We're being mitar in front of Hashem and Hashem alone. What happens if you go into a mikvah and you're all bent over and you're slouched? Could be that the tefillah doesn't work. Because the halacha in Hilchas Nida says, when it talks about the laws of tefillah, that if you scrunch up like a ball under the water, so then you create folds in your body that are normally not there. And the halacha is that you can't have any chatzitz, you cannot have any interruption that will prevent the water from getting into every part of your body. And your body could actually interrupt itself. If you create clefts and folds in your body by scrunching up into a ball, and the water can't get there, so therefore the tefillah is no good. So if Yom Kippur is all about mikvah, it's all about that we don't have to hide our averas, because Hashem, only Hashem judges us on Yom Kippur, and Hashem knows everything about us. He knows all the good, the bad, and the ugly that we've done. And so therefore, who do we have to hide from? On Rosh Hashanah, maybe we feel we have to hide. Maybe it'll help if we hide a little bit, so we're bent like the shofar is bent. But on Yom Kippur, stand up straight, stand up tall. You have nothing to hide. It's not a standing up straight of arrogance. It's a standing up straight of saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can't hide anymore. I've been hiding all of Elul. I've been hiding in Rosh Hashanah. I've been hiding during Aseret Mei Tshuva. It's Yom Kippur, right? I'm going into a mikveh right now. It's your mikveh. It's your chesed. It's slicha mechila kapar. It's a day that you, Hashem, have granted a tremendous gift of forgiving my sins, as long as I'm not in denial. If I embrace the process of the mikveh, of the immersion of Yom Kippur, by not slouching over, but by letting the waters of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's purity, of his slich and mechila, envelope my entire body, and I stand up straight, allowing it to penetrate every single part of my body, that's the idea of Yom Kippur. So we stand up straight. We say to Hashem, listen, Hashem, I can't hide anymore. I can't hide from you. You certainly know everything. And so therefore I have nothing left to do but to confess, because I have to confess to myself. I don't have to confess to Hashem. I have to do vida. I have to tell Hashem what I did wrong. Hashem knows what I did wrong. But I have to tell myself. I have to say, no more hiding behind this one, behind that one. Right, Hashem, I'm going to take responsibility for what I've done. If I take responsibility for what I've done, I say, Hashem, this is what I've done. You know what I've done, but I want you to know anyway that I know. I want you to know that I know what I've done. And I promise I won't do it again, and I feel bad about it. So then, just like the shofar is straight, we could be confident on Yom Kippur that with a little bit of sincere tshuva, and we immerse in that mikveh of this glorious day of Yom Kippur, so then we go in straight, and we go in dirty, straight, but we come out crystal clear like the white kittel that we wear. As Hashem, we should not wait until Yom Kippur to do it, but every day now that we have Vidu, we have Avinu Malkeinu, we should take stock of what we've done, no longer hide behind all the other excuses that we formulate during the year. We approach Hashem with honesty, with sincerity, and with a real commitment to be better. Hashem, the waters, the beautiful purifying waters of Yom Kippur will work, and we will all come out clean on the other side. Be'ez Hashem comes Monday evening. We should all have a Gemara Chasima Tova.